Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my video. All right, so we're doing this video on an issue that I had a couple of days. The issue was essentially a crank no start on this vehicle. I've had this vehicle. I actually bought it used. I never really had any issues with it. Changed out the battery once, and it drove good. Never had an issue with it. It drove good for the last couple years that I've had it. Out of nowhere, the other day, I was taking my cat to the vet, and essentially got done with the vet. Came back to my vehicle and tried to start it and had a crank no start issue. Now, since I didn't have any issues with the vehicles previously, I really didn't think that was there was a big problem involved with that. So I tried to start it, crank it a couple of times. I thought maybe I actually never had an issue with this, with any of a crank no start. So in any case, did it a couple of times, 3 or 4 times afterwards. I started to worry a bit. It was a bit hot out. My cat was in the car. There's no AC. Fall's almost over, but the temperature's been pretty hot lately. And I was thinking, I gotta get the car started to go back. It wasn't the worst case scenario whatsoever. So I was thinking to myself, all right, so what's the issue? So I was trying to figure out like what the problem was. This is not a car that's had any kind of problems at all, to be honest with you, at all. So I was thinking, well, I've had issues with crank no starts before. I kind of know how that works. And basically, I was going through all the things that could cause it, the easiest things that I could think of to solve the situation, hopefully to solve the situation where I wouldn't need a tow. So I was thinking, all right, so probably don't need to change out the fob key battery. I know in some cars that actually would cause a crank no start issue or no crank no start issue. Sometimes you get a message that says your key fob has issues. I didn't get any kind of messages on my dash. There was no check engine light. Last I recalled, there was no check engine light. And so I was thinking maybe it's the key fob. But then I remember that I changed out the battery about 3 months ago. So, and it wasn't because there was any issues. It was because I remember one time where I actually had another vehicle. I think it was a Honda Accord, where I had a crank no start. But it was one of those situations where I thought, maybe I should just change out the battery just in case. So I changed out the battery just in case. So I'm pretty sure that wasn't the issue. I could rule that out because at this point I was trying to rule certain things out. I was able to shift the shifter into a couple, reverse, neutral, whatever, and try to start it. It didn't do anything, didn't really change anything at all. So I was just going through the things that I thought could cause these kind of situations. I've heard that if you had accessories plugged into 12 volt, it could probably cause a situation where crank no start messes up the car's electronics, because new cars these days, a lot of the electrical components are connected to each other. I unplugged the 12 volt that I had connected to a charger and a tablet. I believe it's like one of these 120 volt, what is it called? You guys know it's called inverter, right? The one that I got from Walmart. Anyway, I took that off. I was thinking to myself, and then try to start it, and it really did the same thing. Crank no start. The crank was strong, by the way. It wasn't like it was a slow crank. It wasn't like it was a soft crank. It wasn't like it was trying to start. The crank was strong. The battery on this vehicle is pretty big. So now, at that point, I was thinking about other things that I could check out inside the car to see whether what's causing it. It's not an old vehicle. It's not an older vehicle. So I was thinking, what components could actually go wrong with this vehicle that could cause this situation, seeing as how, it's not one of these older vehicles with higher mileages where I have to worry about maybe the water, maybe worry about the fuel pump or something like that. So I was thinking, okay, I know these situations come up if your fuel pump has issues and they go out on you, and I understand that these components actually go out on you. It could go out you at any time. All right, regardless of age, regardless of mileage you have in your vehicle and stuff like that. So I was thinking, okay, I had the key in, and I actually tried to listen to the fuel pump to see whether it was priming or not. So I had it on the on position, which is the position before it starts up. All right, and it was very difficult to hear the fuel pump. Now, some vehicles you could probably hear the fuel pump, but the fuel pump is underneath the back seat. You might be able to raise the back seat and hear it priming. Some vehicles have loud fuel pumps where it actually primes and you could hear it. On this vehicle, it was very, very difficult to hear it, especially with my cat meowing. So at this point, I was like, all right, I don't know how long this is going to take. So I had to unroll all my windows because it was getting a little bit warm. And I was thinking to myself, you know what, it's time to check under the hood. So I opened my hood up and I was looking around and really couldn't see anything that had an issue. There wasn't really no rust or anything like that could cause an issue, rust on the ground, stuff like that. So I was looking at the battery. I ended up looking at the battery, trying to figure out whether the battery had any kind of issues or not. And I was thinking to myself, battery was changed up recently. The crank was strong. I actually ended up turning on my headlights, making sure that I had like really bright headlights. Now this is at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The headlights were bright, and I was thinking to myself, let me see. So I didn't think it was the battery. All right, in this situation, didn't think it was the battery because it's a strong crank. I was looking at the battery terminals to see whether the battery terminals were corroded, whether they were loose. If you guys have this problem, sometimes battery terminals can become loose or corroded, or they're not tight enough. It won't have enough of a surface area to actually have a connection. So if you have loose cap battery cables, you could just wiggle it and then try to turn it on. Sometimes that'll get enough power to actually start it. In this situation, my battery cables were 100% tight, seeing as how it was changed out recently. It was the cables, the connectors were cleaned off. Battery is a new battery. All right, so the battery was fine. I assumed that the battery was fine, so looked around the fuse box because that's what that's where I would go to next. But in any case, if you guys have an issue on older vehicles, you guys probably should do like a little look at the ground wire. If the ground wire is like rusted, or there's a lot of rust on there, or if it's disconnected, somehow gets broken off because the wire gets frayed. You have rats gnawing on them. Had a situation where that's come up. Seen one situation where that came up where the ground wire was gnawed off by rats. Yeah, same strange situation, but in any case, looked at the fuse box just to see if I could tell if there's anything that's amiss with the fuse box. Looked at all the fuses. By eyesight, couldn't really tell. The smell test, sometimes if you have a burnt fuse, it looks kind of brownish in a certain area of the fuse, on the top of the fuse, and you would see some issue with that, but I couldn't see by eyesight. I didn't have a fuse tester with me, unfortunately, but I was able to get to the fuel pump relay. I was looking at the relays, seeing which relays could cause this issue. Now, if you guys are looking for fuses, there's a couple of things that could cause this issue that you guys could look for. The ECM fuse, the fuses that's connected to certain parts of the car's computer. Those fuses, if they're blown, could cause issues with a crack no start, because the computer might not be able to read the car's components to actually start it. But in this case, that wasn't the case. I looked at the fuse. I looked at the relay. Actually, wasn't the starter relay because it was cranking. So I looked at the fuse for the fuel pump, and I was looking at it. I was thinking to myself, it's possible. It's possible. I was hoping that it was a relay, because that's easy to take out. That's easy to put in. You know, at least it's not the fuel pump, or could be a fuel filter issue too. But we're doing this diagnosis of easiest fix. Okay, of easiest fix, hoping that it was an easy fix. So I found the fuel pump relay. So now, if you guys don't know how to test the relay out, you guys suspect that it might be the relay that's the issue, or you guys think that you might be able to, well, to maybe test it somehow, what you guys can do is you guys can take a relay from another portion of the vehicle, like maybe the vent blower motor, the fan blower motor. Just look around for a relay that really doesn't have, that's not a relay for an important component, part of component that has to do with the starting of the vehicle or any of that stuff. Something that's not important to the running of the vehicle, or the starting up of the vehicle, like lights, heated seats, wipers, wiper motors, all that stuff. Okay, that's accessory components. So I found one. Forget what accessory it was, but it wasn't important to the ignition or the running of the vehicle. So I was able to take that relay off, and it was a same relay. Well, not the same, but a similar relay. Similar numbers, etc. All right, and those numbers on the relays gotta match up. All right, and swapped it, popped it in, and turned the key, and it started right up. So it was the relay that's the problem. Started right up. I was happy. My cat was happy. Yeah, my cat was happy. Lex was happy. Lex, my cat, was happy. So I was happy. So it wasn't that bad of a day. So anyway, I ended up driving to an AutoZone. They had a relay. Bought it for like 10, 15 bucks or whatever. And that resolved my issue. If you guys have a similar issue and you guys have like a pet with you, and you guys, and the weather's the temperature is extreme out there. It's kind of hot. It's kind of, I tell you guys what, all right, obviously you guys are looking for a quick fix. Nobody wants to wait for a tow truck. No one wants to pay for a tow truck. No one wants to worry about, you know, car issues and this whole entire mystery of how much you're gonna pay for the, you know, getting it fixed and all that stuff, particularly if you guys don't know too much about vehicles and the situation that you're in. In these situations, just, you'd have to go through an analysis of what to look for and what not to look for, and that way you guys could figure out what the situation is. But it could be like a whole host of things that I listed, but, you know, go through them one by one, see which one is causing the issue, and there you have it. Right? So if you guys are in this situation, I hope that you guys get as easy of a fix in this situation as I did. All right? Yeah. So hope this video has helped you guys out in some way. If you guys have any questions, hope this video wasn't too long. You know, if you're doing call work, it's really difficult trying to figure out issues. It's not one of those things you guys can sum up. You can sum up like in a very short video, because you'd have to go through a whole lot of different scenarios and try to figure out what it is. But in any case, hope this video has helped you guys out. Please subscribe, thumbs up, all that good stuff. Take care, guys.